What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Scratch Golf Performance, and in today's video I'm going over 5 exercises that are going to help you increase power through the golf swing. Level 1 being super simple and easy for all golfers to do, yet super effective, and level 5 being a more advanced movement that some golfers might not be able to do but you can easily progress to, and some movements that I think are the most beneficial for golfers to increase power and get more distance. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So level 1 of rotational power movements is just going to be a cable rotation. This one's super easy because 99.9% of gyms have a cable stack machine, and almost every single golfer can execute this movement. It's really good for working through the same plane of motions that a golfer goes through, and you can really control the time under tension with the cable machine, and you can really control the weight and progress this moving forward. So you're gonna need a cable stack, and then whatever way you're rotating, you're going to grab it with the inside hand and overlap it with the outside hand. You want a really good solid stance, arms straight, and then you can do this one slow for hypertrophy, so strengthening the core, or you can do it fast for power output. Notice how the chest is following the hands, and then I'm still in a good athletic stance. All right, really good movement, again, to progress. You can also change the height of the cable machine and really work even more planes of motion through the golf swing. You can go low to high, you can go high to low, you can go straight across just like I was doing. A lot of different variations, and this is why it's level 1 on the rotational power exercises. So level 2 on the golf rotational power movements is a med ball hip hop. Most gyms should have a med ball or some med balls inside the gym that you can use, and it's great too as a level 2 movement because you can progress the intensity of it and you can progress the weight of it by just switching out different med balls. One thing that we do have to be mindful of in these power output movements is not to go too heavy. That way we can apply maximal force to whatever movement we're doing. If the weight is too heavy, we're focused on moving the weight rather than moving fast. Facing perpendicular to the wall, it's really important that I get this hand behind the ball so I can translate power from the ground and through my hips into the ball. I don't want to overhand toss it, and I don't want to underhand toss it. I want to drive this ball as hard as I can. Loading the hips, athletic stance, kind of like the cable rotations. And this one I want to step in and then rotate, and my hips are finishing towards the wall, and then I'm going to push that ball into the wall as hard as I can. Everything rotating, everything finishing through the ball, and I'm translating all of that energy from the ground and putting it through the ball. This is going to be level 2.5, so same med ball hip hop movement, but I'm taking a shuffle step and getting a little bit more momentum and being able to generate a little bit more power into the throw. So I want to take a few steps back, same position, hand behind the ball, but I'm just going to take a shuffle step, and then same movement, rotating my hips around, pushing the ball through. I've just got a lot more momentum. One thing too that's super important with this rotational power training is to train both sides. So you don't want to just train one side all the time, because number 1, you're going to develop imbalances, and number 2, you're on the golf course swinging on your right or left side all the time. You really want to develop balance and do all of these rotational movements on both sides. That way you can maximize power output development, and you're going to be a better athlete and a better golfer for it. So now we're moving on to level 3, still using the med ball. This is just a rotational med ball slam. The reason this one is level 3 and not level 2 is I think it requires a little bit more coordination to not only control this ball through space, but to stay balanced. And I'm working still in the same plane of motion, just a little bit different way. All right, so I want to get in that same athletic stance. I want to start with this ball on one side of my hip, and I'm trying to get up and around over my head, and I'm trying to slam it on the other side of my foot. A lot of people can't get arms overhead, full overhead shoulder extension, so that's going to be a tough movement as well. And then again, still rotating around and slamming it down. This one is also a little bit simpler in the fact where I'm not moving, I'm in one spot. That means I can apply more power And a lot of people might not be able to apply more power in this plane of motion than the first two. So that's why it's level 3. I'll show you full speed what I'm trying to do with these movements. Big rotation, slam it down. You want to try and go back to back with this movement. But my body is following the ball into the ground, and I'm getting a really solid slam. All right, so now we're moving on to level 4. And the reason this is at the higher end of the levels is because we're jumping. Not a lot of people can jump or have the capabilities to jump, or they just haven't jumped in a long time. So this one's gonna require prior training and practice in order to do efficiently. And by efficiently, I mean being able to apply maximal force into the jump and really get some fast twitch muscle fiber recruitment. The reason this one's gonna be good for rotation is I'm adding a twist into the box jump. 1 foot apart, it's a little bit different than the athletic stance. And I'm trying to twist, load the hips, twist, and then I'm trying to shoot my hands, use some momentum, and then rapidly extend the hips to make this box jump. So I'll show you fast speed, load, twist, jump, and land. Make sure I step down off of this box so I don't injure myself, but I'll show you one more time, fast speed, twist, jump, land. I'm landing in the athletic stance because I'm trying to decelerate that force. I'm trying to jump from a jump stance because I can recruit more force. You can start low on this one. A lot of gyms do have these soft plyo boxes so you can adjust the height level on it. If you're not comfortable jumping on a box, you can do a rotational jump in place. You can rotate, jump, and then land just like that. That one might be more beneficial for you because you're taking that variable out of play and you can safely jump and land while applying maximal force. And I'm feeling super gracious today, so I'm gonna give you a 4.5. If you don't have any access to boxes or you want a little bit different variation, you can do a lateral jump, load into a 2-leg landing. You can switch those, or you can do a single leg load and twist. So you can single leg load, jump, twist, and land just like that. Both are good variations to do if you want to switch up from the rotational box jump, or you just don't have any boxes. You can do these at home and really work on shifting lateral forces and lateral power output. Now we're moving on to level 5 of the rotational power movements. And the reason this one is level 5 is because it requires the most technique, the most practice, and the most efficiency in order to be able to apply the most power output and get your best bang for your buck out of this movement. This one's called a rotational landmine press. The reason I love this one and the reason I use it for all my rotational athletes is because it closely mimics the movement patterns of the golf swing, and it allows you to move a little bit more weight in a smoother movement pattern than maybe the other 4 movements. I think this one's the most optimized. That's why it's level 5. So we're gonna be facing parallel with the bar, and I want you grabbing it with your inside hand. I'm getting in that athletic stance, all right, a little bit outside shoulder width. I'm getting a loaded hip position, and then the first movement is like a high pull. If you've ever done any Olympic lifts, you'll know what I'm talking about, but I'm rapidly extending these hips and then shooting that bar up, right? I'm showing you a progression here because it is the most technical. Once I find that sweet spot of that bar almost floating in the air, that's when I want to pivot and switch hands. This is where the technicality comes in to the movement. So once I find that floating point, I want to switch hands, and then I'm pivoting and pressing, extending that arm and letting that arm touch my ear. Notice how everything was finishing towards the rack. So my hips, my shoulders, my toes, everything was finishing towards the rack and that landmine, and then I can bring it back down. All together, looks like this. Load the hips, power, switch, pivot, and press. I'll show you in the slow-mo here. Notice how I'm getting a forward lean in that movement as well. So my torso is almost matching the angle of the bar. That way I can get a good, solid finish. I'm not wavering either way. I'm not unbalanced. Everything's facing the wall, and I can smooth and fluidly rotate through that movement. Make sure I'm doing both sides. If you're doing your weak side, it might be a little bit harder, so start lighter, really go through that progression, and then you should be able to get this movement over time. But as good as all of those movements are, nothing is really going to compare to level 6, which is swing speed. So getting a club, getting a driver, and swinging it as hard as you can. These other movements, levels 1 through 5, are gonna help you swing harder, but if you don't apply the force and the power that you've been training to the golf swing, you're never really going to increase swing speed and swing power and get more distance off the golf ball. So after your session, once you get done doing all these movements, grab a club and swing it as hard as you can. We're not really necessarily looking for form, we're just looking for speed. It's just like sprinters. The only way to get fast in a sprint is to run fast, and you have to run fast often. Sprinters are running really fast sprint training 2 times a week, so you really should be swing speed training 2 times a week in order to recruit more fast twitch muscle fibers, apply the movements that we've been learning throughout the training sessions into your golf swing. All right guys, that's gonna be it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you liked this video and you liked this type of content, make sure to like and subscribe. I'm gonna be putting out a lot more golf fitness tips and tricks to not only get you better at golf, but get you to be a better athlete and just be better at. If you have any movement suggestions or you have anything that you want to see from me, make sure to comment down below and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.